Hey everybody, welcome back to the Farm Talk here. Finally got the planter in the shop, did a bunch of work to it. Kind of figured I'd just give a general overview and kind of show our setup and what we got going on here. So I'll just start on one side of the planter and kind of work my way around. First off to start, we got these clean sweep air cylinders here on our row cleaners. So what it is there's just two air lines running to it. There's a compressor right there that's just mounted on the frame of the bar here. That runs, the air lines run up to the cab of the tractor, and then we have a controller in the cab to either we can lift the whole unit right up if we don't need the row cleaners on. We can put more down pressure down if it's got a lot of debris that we're trying to clean out of the way, or just somewhere in the middle. That's a manually operated controller, I guess, so it's not going to be computer controlled where it's constantly changing. We put that on a couple years ago, really liking it so far. It seems to do a great job. Next, we'll go back. You can see I just put new seed openers on here this year, and we replaced the seed firmers, which I have one kind of opened up yet on the other side, which I'll show you later on. And then we put on a couple years ago now, I believe 2 years ago, we put on these Delta Force hydraulic cylinders. So you can see there's hydraulic lines running all over the place, and those control your down pressure. So some people have spring pressure for their hydraulic downforce, or their not hydraulic downforce, just a regular downforce, or airbags. Those are the two main ones there. We had spring pressure on these, and then we switched to these, like I said, a couple years ago. These are computer controlled, so you can set how much downforce you want. In the 2020 monitor that we run for precision planting, they have little categories, I guess, for it, and they have some pre-made ones, or you can do like a custom one where you set, let's say you want 100 pounds of downforce. You set that into the computer and it will keep each row at 100 pounds of downforce, and it maps that out so you can see it. You can see each row and everything. It's really a handy thing to watch going through the field. And it changes it constantly. I can't remember how many times a second it is logging that and changing the cylinders. So you'll see these just moving up and down slightly throughout the rows as you're driving along. This year we put on, let's see, I'll take one of the boxes off here. We put on the V-Drive electronic seed meters. So that's going to be these guys back here, and those have a vacuum actuated meter in there as well. You can see the vacuum tubes running here, the vacuum pumps on the back. So these, it's just an electric motor is what it is. That's controlled by the computer and everything in the cab, that 2020 monitor. They're supposed to help increase your singulation, is the main reason. You can, with these, you can do variable rate planting and stuff like that, or if you're running prescriptions. So if I want to run a prescription out in the field, which is just parts of your field get less corn seed than others, you plant at a different population, and as you're going through the field, the computer will control that. So you don't have to get out and change sprockets and stuff like that. So we put those on this year. Hopefully that goes well. Don't have any problems with them. I'll kind of try to keep you updated as we're going. But those are supposed to replace, I think it's like 130 parts that you can take off when you put these on. So right now we don't have any more hex shafts. There's no couplers. There's no row shutoffs, which we did have on our old style, but we could get rid of them. There's no no drive unit or anything. There's no none of that stuff, no sprockets, none of that anymore. We took all that stuff off. So I'll leave that be for now. Let's see, we are putting on a liquid fertilizer. We got a 450 gallon tank that we run 32% nitrogen out of. And we do these drops behind the row units so that it doesn't burn the seed, and it seems to work out pretty good for us. We do recommend having one of the teethed wheels when you're doing that, so it stirs up just enough dirt to incorporate the fertilizer. Because if you're running two rubber closing wheels like that, it doesn't stir the nitrogen enough, and then it'll all evaporate, so you'll lose a lot of it. Let's see, moving on. So here is the fertilizer drive setup. It's just a drive wheel that runs off of your tire, and then it's a piston pump with sprockets on it. Runs, and then you got all your sight gauges up here and your pressure valves and all that fun stuff. So I've been doing that for quite a while. I've been running 32% through it. Here is the vacuum pump back here, and the fan, all that housing and everything for the vacuum system for the seed meters. We used to have finger meters. That's what we ran forever. This is the first year we've had a vacuum system, so I don't know too much about it. Never worked with them myself. I know we just always had the finger meters, and that's worked out great for us so far. But we wanted to update stuff and keep moving forward to try to keep getting some better yields. Every year we try to do something, either will it be on the corn planter here or on the combine, to help improve our yields a little bit. Because in these markets, you got to make every bushel count. When the markets are this poor. Let's see here. So that should be everything on the back. Like I said, each row has those Delta Force hydraulic cylinders here. Every row has them. Like I said, so far I'm very impressed with them. Let's see. I'll show you that Keaton seed firmer we're putting on. We had the old precision planting ones before, and these ones are supposed to be a lot easier and cheaper to change out the firmer part here. So what this does here is the seed will come down. It'll be up in the box here, go through the meter, come down. There's a seed tube right here, you see. It'll come down there, fall out into the trench that's opened up by these disc blades, and then this firmer just lightly pushes it down to the ground so it makes a good seed to soil contact. So we went through and replaced all of them with these. Our old ones, you had to basically take the whole bracket and everything apart to replace the firmer part. For these ones, all you gotta do is push the tab down and they pop right out. So it's a lot cheaper and easier to replace them. And then to put them back in, all you gotta do is stick them up, let it pop in, and you're good to go. So as you can see, we replaced all the guards. Since I had all the disc blades off, I had replaced the guard for the seed tube here, and then I replaced the little gauge wheel walker arm here to stop the gauge wheels. The gauge wheels are what actually sets your depth for planting. So you always want to plant at a certain depth depending on your soil conditions and everything like that, whether it be an inch or inch and a half, whatever you guys are planting. So, and the meters, here's those vacuum meters here. See, the vacuum line comes down and goes into the meter here. And then there is the electronic motor on the back, again, just a wiring harness there. And so hopefully I can give some good reports on those the whole vacuum meters here. I mean, all the meters are brand new. The electric motors here, hopefully they work out nicely. I think You're supposed to be able to get up to, was it 99.8, I think, percent? 99.8 or 99.9% with your singulation. Before, I think with the finger meters and everything, we were running 98 to 99%, I think. I'd have to go back and double check on that. But that depends on your ground speed and how everything's working, how fast you're running, if your field's conditioned correctly, or if you did no-till, which is, we do a lot of no-till, and that's one thing that these clean sweep clean sweep row cleaners really help with. This style of cleaner here works really great. Instead of just being like a toothed blade here and nothing else, this has this extra piece of metal here which really helps push that debris and corn stalks and everything out of the way. So when we're doing no-till, which we try, like I said, we try to do as much no-till as we can. That's kind of what we focus on. We don't like doing as much deep tillage as possible. We will chisel plow if we get a lot of ground compaction, like last year when everything was so wet when we were doing soybeans. We had to combine it crossways across the field basically, and now we have marks all over the field. So even just looking at the field, you can see the combine tracks. So this year we're gonna have to do more chisel plowing than we really usually do. We do try to do subsoiling in the fall, just to help break up the compaction in the ground, but last year we got like no subsoiling done and barely any chisel plowing done. So let's see. And then here's that air compressor for the clean sweeps. Pretty simple thing. Actually, you can see my boss decided to turn too sharp the one year and bent that bracket up, but it's fine, it works. Actually, here, one more thing on these seed firmers. I'll show you kind of how they're installed. I mean, they go on real quick when you have everything off. So there's supposed to be a peg here that comes out, which we actually had to replace that one because it was, the threads on it were all worn down. I don't have any reverse thread taps or dies to clean those up. But the pegs comes out, and same thing on the other side. These just slide over the peg, and then up here at the top there's a little hook that goes over a roll pin that the seed firmer or the seed tube here is actually on. So you just slide it down and lock it into place, and then there are 3 screws that you put in, real simple. And that same thing with the other side. Slide it over that little rod, put it up over the pin and slide it down, then they just come together. Real simple, easy to install. So that's why we figured when we had everything taken apart to replace the seed openers and everything here, we just do it and be done with it. So I think I've gone over everything on the planter here and rambled on enough. Anybody's got any questions on these things, or if anybody else is running any other type of advanced farming, precision planting, all that stuff, let me know how you like it. And I mean, every year we're trying to expand on stuff. Maybe next year we'll look into those smart farmers. We've done a little bit of digging on them, but didn't want to pull the trigger this year. Figured we did enough. So thanks for watching, everybody, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.